more of this. Again, because this whole capitalist system, profit from it, is structured around oil. Now, British Petroleum has been in the vanguard, if you will, of developing this kind of extreme energy drilling and extreme resource extraction. And I think it's important to note that, as the New York Times did, it had an article, The Spill versus a Need to Drill, in which it said very bluntly that offshore drilling is likely to continue, anticipating the quote-unquote findings of this commission that we just saw here in New Orleans earlier this week. And it made the point that for oil companies, these reserves are worth hundreds of billions of dollars. In other words, what's deep, deep under the Gulf of Mexico. And then it goes on to say, since the 1980s, the Gulf has turned into a vast laboratory. Think about that word, laboratory. What do you do there? You experiment. You try out new things. You know, the proverbial chemistry experiment where it goes bang. A laboratory for the industry to test and showcase its most sophisticated technology, something BP used to brag about, and which is then often shipped to places with even fewer environmental regulations, Nigeria, South America, now the Arctic. They're even taking advantage of global warming and planning on how, if the Arctic ice melts, they can exploit oil at the North Pole. So they create a problem and then further exploit it. Meanwhile, while they're aggressively developing new technologies for drilling, cleanup operations and technology hasn't improved since the Exxon Valdez, according to the New York Times. And even though blowouts and spills, like I hate to even use that word spill. I hate it. I mean, I can give people a list of the major oil disasters, several, including BP, over the last 20 years. I heard someone say there are 122 oil spills right now in the Gulf. I don't have that in front of me. But so this is the situation that we find ourselves in, and of course this had everything to do with why this disaster happened in the first place. Now, I want to just mention I am moving fairly quickly over a big canvas.